Welcome back to Weather for Weather Geeks, everyone. It's my daily in-depth weather video that goes online about this time every day. If you're really into the weather, if you're a real weather nerd enthusiast, or if your business depends on weather, you need more detail than just a 7-day forecast on TV, hey, this is your video. We always talk about the short range and the longer range as well, kind of going out a couple of weeks oftentimes in this video. We're going to take a look at February as far as some climatology here, since it is the first day of the month. February is a transitional month. It's not as much of a transitional month as March, where we see bigger gains in daylight, bigger jumps in our average highs, but it is a transitional month, unlike January, in which the averages just sort of flatline all month. It's kind of the dead of winter. We start to see some movement in those average temperatures this month, going from 33 to 41 by the end of the month, and longer days. We gain an hour and 11 minutes of daylight this month. Sunsets go from 5:39 to 6:13 by month's end. I'll be able to show you the sunset on our weather cameras during the course of the news, which is always nice later on this month. Snow average February about 13 inches. Last year we had over double that, but of course that wasn't even the big story last February. The temperatures were. It was the coldest month on record in Youngstown, coldest February I should say, on record in Youngstown in 2015. Nothing like that on the way this year. A little more climatology here as far as snow. It's our third snowiest month, climatologically speaking, just a hair behind December. It's kind of interesting. There's not that big of a drop-off from February to March, especially early March can still be a pretty stormy time of the year here in eastern Ohio and western PA. Of course, January is our snowiest month, with about a quarter of our snowfall usually falling during the month of January. Well, here's what we expect this year across not only our part of the country, but the lower 48. Should be another wetter than average month down in the deep south, a little drier than average, northern Rockies, northern Plains. We're going to call this near average locally. Some of the recent modeling over the last day or two has started to suggest a drier and drier month, so if we're going to have an error on this map, it's probably towards the dry end of things. It could be drier than our current forecast. But as it stands now, we're going to call for average precipitation. I think there will be some chances for snow during the middle of the month, but not during the next week. Speaking of snow and temperatures, another cooler than average month in the deep south, warmer than average in parts of the west coast, the northern Rockies, northern Plains. This is overall kind of a typical El Nino look to things. Now we're going to call it near average locally. Again, if we're going to have an error, it's going to be on the warm side. It could be warmer than we have here. I doubt it's colder than our current forecast. I think there will be a cold shot in about 10 days. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But it's probably just a few days, and then it lifts out, so it's not going to impact the monthly temperature anomalies all that month. The month's going to start warm. It's likely to kind of end warm, and then in the middle, there'll be a cold snap for a few days. All right, we've got a blockbuster storm out here across the middle of the country. Of course, our radar's quiet this evening, but we've got snow and we've got rain in the Four Corners region out into the Plain States. This has been a big snowstorm today in the Denver, Colorado Springs, and Boulder area, and this storm is going to lay down a nice swath of snow over the next 24 to 48 hours. Could be a foot or more in parts of Nebraska. Big problems for I-80. And 6 to 12 inches, pretty common in much of Iowa, southern Minnesota, heading into Wisconsin as well. We're on the warm side of this, and speaking of the warm side, this is more like a spring low-pressure system with heavy snow on the north side and severe weather on the south and east side. There's an enhanced risk of severe weather tomorrow down in parts of the lower Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, parts of the Mississippi Valley. There probably will be numerous severe storms tomorrow evening heading into the overnight down in this region. We're not real concerned about any severe weather here. I can't totally rule out a rumble of thunder tomorrow night, but no real concerns with hail or damaging winds. But this is a pretty impressive map for early February, even down in parts of the southeast. All right, here's what we can expect over the next couple of days. High pressure off to the north and east gives us fair weather tomorrow. It'll be in the upper 40s and lower 50s with a little bit of an east-southeast wind. Here comes our low coming out of the Plain States, producing all that snow in the upper Midwest. Here's our big area of thunderstorms then tomorrow evening from about the Ohio River on south. We will wait until the overnight to get in on the rain and maybe a rumble of thunder, but again, the heavy storms are down here. This is just rain for us. And a gusty wind tomorrow night as well. Notice the isobars are packed together here. We can have some wind gusts and some of these harder downpours, perhaps up to 40 miles per hour. So it's going to be kind of a bumpy night. Now this is interesting on Wednesday. The rain leaves. The cold air is kind of hanging back here, though. The cold air is where the cloud shield is. And in this zone between the rain and the cold air, we're going to have a screaming south-southwest wind, and it's going to be warm. we're going to start the day in the mid-50s, near the record high in the morning. The record high Wednesday is only 55. We could break that in the morning. And with this few hours of sunshine, I think we get into the lower 60s on Wednesday. We're going to blow that record away. So, wow, what a day coming up on Wednesday. And then, yes, the colder air will wrap in, so will the clouds. And we could have some flurries coming up on Thursday. Pretty good slug of rain here. Good natural car wash for you. Probably on the order of a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch. Notice the GFS here, kind of an outlier up around an inch. Most of our modeling is half an inch to 3/4 of an inch worth of rain coming tomorrow night and first thing Wednesday morning when the rain gets out of here. All right, let's talk about the longer range because lots of interesting things going on here. Here's the current pattern. We have a deep low out here across the four corners, that big storm out there. It's pumping up a ridge in the Midwest. That's bringing in the warmth here. We have part of the polar vortex up here across Hudson Bay. As we put this in motion, the cold air stays up in Canada for the next couple of days, and the ridge continues to get pumped through Wednesday. It's really going to warm up, as I just mentioned. But then the ridge gets flattened as the trough moves through. It's going to turn cooler at the end of the weekend into the weekend, but not cold. In fact, by the weekend, we'll be above average again. So here we are over the weekend. You have a gentle northwest flow here, but it's not going to be enough to keep temperatures below average. In fact, it'll be 7-8 degrees above average Saturday and Sunday. And then the pattern really starts to evolve next week, and the floodgates open up to the Arctic. This is a pretty dramatic change for the tail end of next week. Here's the 11th. I believe that's next Thursday. Big ridge pumping along the west coast, and then you have this deep trough extending all the way from the Arctic Circle right down into the U.S. So our air will originate way up here as we go into the latter half of next week. And that's going to spell some of our coldest weather of the season. We could have a day or two at the end of next week, around the 11th, 12th, where highs are in the teens. And low temperatures, depending on clouds, could be down well into the single digits, perhaps even below zero. But this is in and out. It's only going to last a couple of days. So, it's not going to be enough to sway February's temperature anomalies. It's just going to last a few days and then doesn't look bad at all for the last third of February. Thanks for watching tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. More of this kind of stuff coming in the next video in about 24 hours. In the meantime, catch me on TV tonight, on TV or on your mobile app. I'll be on 21 News at 11 o'clock. And if you're up early, check out Jess's forecast starting bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.